Welcome back. So we're going to learn everything you need to know about web scraping in n8n, and you can apply this for realistic purposes. And just to quickly get started with what web scraping is just simply collection of information from websites. Now, website like Indeed, where you can actually find different job postings, and then you might just want to, get a lot of these job details in this case. So if you probably go to Upwork, when I kind of like search for AI automation, for example, and then this is going to give me different job postings, right? And then let's say I just want to, get all of these details, like maybe like the title of this job, whether it's hourly, and the description and the tools that is needed for this job, right? And then some of these details I just want to get all of everything, manually. All I just have to do is to copy each and every one of it, and then maybe the rating as well. So how stressful that's going to be, right? And then let's say we probably go to Google in this case, and for example, maybe we just kind of like type Lagos cleaners in this case. I'm going to see a lot of different cleaners here, and then if I click on more places, and then let's say I just actually want to see maybe the top rating cleaners, and in this case what I need to do is to manually check out each of these cleaners here, right? As you can see, and there are a lot of them, right? And then if I click on more places, of course it gives me even more places, right? So each of them have different ratings. They all have their website. They are open 24/7 and all of that, right? And I just want to get all of this information off Google, and copying it like this doesn't even really go, right? That's like manually web scraping on Google, right? And this is where n8n comes in. It allows you to web scrape automatically, easily, right? And that's what I'm going to show you right in this case. Okay, so web scraping, we already talked about what it is. It's just simply collecting of information from a website automatically instead of copying it by hand, right? And you can usually extract job title, company, location, a lot of different information based on what you're looking for. And it's simply time saving. It reduces manual copying like I just showed us now, and you can really build a lot of things with whatever data you're getting, right? So web scraping just allows you to put those details inside structured format as well, not just copying automatically. And one important thing you should know is when we're talking about web scraping, it's not all website you should web scrape, okay? Because sometimes it might just be legal, and that might be too much, and they might simply block your IP, and you might not be able to access that website when it comes to web scraping any longer. Okay, so this is just a simple steps which we are going to perform very soon, but I just want us to make sure that we get started without wasting any time. So what you want to do now is to obviously go to your n8n in this case, because we want to create a new account, or if you have an account, you can just simply sign in. Okay, you can visit n8n.ia to actually do that. Now, if you're signing in for the first time, of course, this is what you're likely going to see, and that's like if you press the sign in all options. And if you're not signing in for the first time, if you already have an account, towards the left hand side, the icons there, just clicking on this, you'll see these few options like overview, personal, chat, and so on and so forth, right? So you want to create a new workflow in this case, and what you want to do is to click on this plus sign right here like so, and then you click on workflow, because we want to create a new workflow, right? Then when you click on workflow, you click on personal. Okay, so sweet. So this is going to open up a new editor where we are simply going to actually create our workflow in this case. And remember, workflow is just a couple of steps to achieving something, and workflow is always going to follow the procedure that you give it, right? Like agent thinks, reasons, and then acts on your behalf. Anyways, to get started, the first thing we want to do now when we create a workflow is to actually click on add first step. Okay, and I already told us the first step of a workflow is called a trigger. Okay, and we're just gonna click on this add first step here. Okay, and a panel is going to pop up on the right hand side, and there are different kinds of trigger. You can trigger manually, which basically means that you don't want your workflow to run unless you run it yourself. We have this on app event, we have on schedule, and schedule basically means your workflow would run every specific amount of interval. So let's say you want to run it every hour or every 2 hours. You don't need to come back here. It runs on every 2 hours or every hour for you, or even minutes, right? So there are so many of it here, which we also have this form submission. So this usually deals with when until the user actually fills your form, whether on your website or just the form only, and then that's when the workflow runs, right? Anyways, we don't want to actually do anything automatically or schedule anything. We want to manually test this our workflow, and the reason why I'm selecting this option is because, like I said earlier, you can't actually just automatically run a web scraping on the website every single time, right? It's something you have to do manually, and just like what we're trying to do here now, if we web scrape this once, it might take some months or a couple of years for us to actually come back here, right? Because things might change over time. So that's the reason I'm selecting this trigger manually, because I just want to manually run it. Okay, so I'm just going to click right on it like so, and then when you click on it here, in this case, you're going to see that it actually creates this right in this case, right? So every single thing we are actually going to be connecting, every single workflow we are going to be connecting, they're usually called nodes. Okay, so generally everything is just called nodes, right? So this is our first node, our first trigger node in this case, right? And if I click on execute workflow, it doesn't do anything, it just gives me this green check mark, even though there's nothing, right? So what I want to do next now is that I simply want to actually get in some data that we can simply use for practice now before I show us the real web scraping. Okay, so what you want to do now is to go to Google Sheets. So I'm just gonna Ctrl T for a new tab. I'm gonna go to sheets.google.com. So this is the URL here, right, in this case. So you want to either down that. This is going to take you to Google Sheet, right, in this case. Okay, so if you're following from the beginning, there's this particular set of data which we sometimes used for our, at the beginning when we're creating a new lead sheet. Now, if you don't have this, don't worry, I'm gonna give you a new sheet. So when we were kind of using this particular data, when we created a new lead sheet, you might just need to change the budget values here, because I don't want this 0-100. Instead, I just actually want real numbers instead. Okay, so you can change the budget to this. That's if you still have this. Now if you don't have this, I'm gonna drop this somewhere there. Okay, so you can download it, and just gonna drop this sheet so you can download it, right? So when you download it, and the next thing you want to do is we are going to open it, and you can check the link below there, or you can check in the folder there. You see. So what I want to do is, I'm also going to pretend I don't have it in this case. Okay, so I'm just going to close this. So this is when you visit sheet.google.com, you click on blank spreadsheet in this case to create a new blank sheet for you, right? So the next thing you want to do is to actually go to file at the top left there. Okay, so you want to just click on file, and you click import. Okay, because of course we want to import an Excel sheet, right, in this case. And then when you click all of that, you click on upload. Okay, so to upload that file you've just downloaded, then you click browse to actually import that file. Okay, so when you have that there, then you select that Excel file, and then you open. So this is going to open up the file for you in your Google Sheet, right, like so. And then you want to just click on import data. Okay, so replace spreadsheet, of course. Okay, so this is it here, right, like so. So at the top left corner, before we really proceed, I would love us to change this title. So when we are trying to import this in n8n, we know that. So you can just simply name this maybe n8n new lead sample data. Okay, or even better still, we're trying to web scraping sample data. Enter. Okay, so this is simple the data here, right, in this case. Okay, so it's just a couple of columns and rows. Okay, and especially this budget, anything which is a number is usually staying on the right hand side, and anything more like a text is starts on the left hand side. So that's just some little stuff you need to know there. Okay, so we have this data here in this case. Now that you also have it, right? So what I want to do now next is to actually import the row into n8n. Yeah, okay. By the way, with n8n, we need to get these rows we have in our Google Sheet, right? And all you need to do is we want to connect another node by clicking on this plus right here, like so. Okay, and what you want to do now is to search for sheets. Okay, so that's like Google Sheets in this case, and you click on Google Sheet now, and these are some couple of actions that you can perform with Google Sheets. Okay, so every single thing we are actually connecting is also called an action. Okay, but the first thing we set up or connect is called the trigger. Anyways, what we actually want to do with Google Sheets now is we want to get some rows from Google Sheets. Okay, so what you need to do is to click get rows in Sheets. And when you click get rows in Sheet, or whenever you select any action, is always going to open up this configuration for us here. Okay, and this configuration contains three parts. It contains the inputs, okay, and the middle part is the configuration part, okay, and the right hand side is the output part in this case, right? So the input is the workflow before I select this Google Sheet, right? And the workflow before I select this Google Sheet is basically this manual execution. So there's nothing inside it. So in that case, you won't get any output by default. So by default, the output will just be blank here, right? Sweet. So the next thing you want to do now is, if you're actually doing this for the first time, okay, I might just need to explain some couple of things. Okay, so the middle part here is the configuration part. This is where you're going to do majority of the settings that you want to perform using Google Sheets. Okay, and on the right hand side, after all of those settings, the output of what you will get in Google Sheets is going to be here. And then you can now decide to create another workflow to do your next thing, right? So since the first time you want to do this now is you have the credentials here, you might just need to sign in if you are actually doing this for the first time, or you can set up manually. So I'm just going to click sign in with Google, okay, because Google needs to know who exactly is actually working with this file, right? So I'm just going to sign in with my Google account, right, straightforward like so. And if you're using this for the first time, it might prompt you to, it might request some access for you. So just make sure you actually select all. Okay, otherwise, if you already have a Google account before, you might not see all this option. You might just say you're already connected. You just need to continue to give it access. Okay, and as soon as you know I am connected already. Okay, so this is my credentials here. If I open up the Google Sheets, you would only see this one connection here, right? If you want to connect a different Google account, just click on create new credential, and that is done for that. Now the resources should be left by default, so sheet within document. The operation is with Google Sheets, you can perform different operations, because if I open this, you can decide to create a new sheet immediately. You click on a trigger and so on and so forth. But by the way, we've selected get rows. All these operations is still the same thing from whenever we try to like search for sheets, and then when we click on Google Sheets, right, in this case, all these operations is still the same thing you are seeing there, right? Anyways, just going to go back there right again. Okay, so sweet. So these are all the operations, but we leave it, we don't touch anything. Now the next thing is the document. Okay, the document is simply the document you have in your Google Sheet. Okay, so right now this is an example of a document, and this document's name is called n8n web scraping sample data, right? So that's like the only data, the only document which we have, and inside every document there's usually like sheet 1 inside it. Okay, and by default you have sheet 1 and sheet 2. You can create more sheets by clicking on this plus, sheet 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also rename this sheet, but that's not the main priority right now. Okay, so our document is n8n web scraping sample data. So to go back to my n8n, if I open this, you would likely only see I have only one document, which is what I talked about now. So I'll select it, and inside it I have 2 sheets, right? So if I open up this sheet, okay, you would actually say I have sheet 1, sheet 2, and our data is inside sheet 1, right? So I'm just gonna click on it. Okay, sweet. So that's what I just need to do. Okay, again, you sign in with your Google account to create your credentials. Document, you select the proper document and you select sheet 1. When all of this is done, you can execute step, or you click on execute step here. Now this is to confirm that it has actually gotten all the rows from Google Sheets. Sweet. Okay, so this is like the output. All of these rows is simply the same row that is coming from the Google Sheets which we saw earlier, which is this one here, right? Okay, sweet. So I'm looking at it, the output here. There are different ways you can actually view your output using the schemas, table, or JSON. The table is just the simplest way and most non-technical way you can actually view your data coming from Google Sheets, right? So we kind of like have 2, 3, 4 here, which is, well, that's the way it is. Okay, starting from number 2. we have the first names, the last names, the email, budget. But there's another way to view this data, which is like viewing it in a schemas. There's what we call schema. So if I click, so this is more like the way schemas look like, right? So I mean, it looks weird, but you know, that's really nice anyways. Okay, we also have another better way, which is the most favorite way to actually view it, JSON. Okay, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. I don't even need to know what that means. Okay, but looking at it, it tells us we have 4 items, and that's because we also have 4 rows in our Google Sheet, right, in this case, right? And then this is like the first row in this case. Inside the first row, it tells us, oh, row number 2, because it starts from row number 2. The first name, this is like the first name, last name, this is like the last name, email, this is like the email, and it goes on like that. So we have the next row in this case, which is this one here, right? So the reason why is that is because this starts with a curly bracket, and actually we call this an object. This is where the ending is, right? So this is how everything is, and really it's just as simple as that. Okay, so we've actually gotten the rows from Google Sheets. So if you want to click out, you can click on this blank area right here. So there was usually a way to click on go back, but it's not there again in n8n. Just click anywhere at the top outside of the canvas here. Okay, so now we are back to n8n, right, in this case, and we have simply gotten all the rows from Google Sheets, right, in this case. So the next thing I want to actually do now is I simply want to talk about data types now, because it's very important to actually learn that. And actually what I want to do next now is I want to duplicate, or I want to copy all of this data here into I want to be able to edit them actually. Okay, and editing just simply means maybe I'm not satisfied with the data here, right? And maybe I want to add more rows here. All right, maybe I just want to add is registered. I want to set it to true. Maybe I want to add a middle name. I want to set it to a middle name here, right? And it's not just all about that. I just simply want to copy this old data into another field in this case, right? So to copy that, there's a reason why I'm copying that. By the way, I'll come to that. So we are going to be adding another node now. So click on the plus sign, and then we are going to simply search for edit fields. In this case, edit fields allows you to edit the fields from this previous node here. So I'm just going to click on it, which is the second one here. So click. So it's going to open up the configuration like I already mentioned. Okay, so when you actually click now, the inputs, you are going to have inputs, your configuration, which is where you do your settings, and then you have outputs in this case. Okay, so this input is coming from the workflow we had before we selected this one, right? The workflow we had before we selected this was Google Sheets. So this input is actually coming from the recent workflow, the Google Sheets, right? So the third workflow is actually this one called edit fields now. Okay, so the input is actually what you will see here from Google Sheets, right? Nice. Like I said, there are different ways you can actually view your data. So if I click on JSON, it gives me this, this way, right? So it's time to now understand what data types truly is, right? Now, what you want to do next is just click anywhere inside where it says drag input field here. Just click anywhere. So it will actually allow you to actually, get this result in this case, right? Cool. But I'm not dragging in anything yet. I actually want to talk about data type because it's important for you to understand that. So when I click on this string here, you would see that in n8n, you simply have just 6 types of data type. You have what we call string, number, boolean, array. You might not even understand what data type is. That's totally fine. Okay, and I will explain what data type is in simple terms. So to quickly explain it, I've just opened my notepad here, and what I want to do to explain this is, first of all, let's say my first name. I just want to store my first name here. Okay, I'm just kind of like writing it like this for now. And let's say my first name here, I want to store it to something. And anytime you want to store anything that is a text in n8n, you should usually put it in a double quote. You can see all this text, anything text, okay, is usually in double quotes, right? And number is just number. Don't worry about that for now. Just have an idea. So this is my first name. Let's say my first name is actually John in this case. And then let's say my last name is actually let's say Leo, right, in this case. And let's say my age is 33, and then let's say I am okay, and right stuff, right? And then we can set it to true. Now you can see I didn't put this through inside a double quote. Don't worry, there's a reason why that is like that. Okay, so and then let's say height. I actually just set this height to 4.4. Now what I want to show you now is that you see all of these things like first name, last name, age, I am okay, height. You see that everything is actually storing, everything has an equal sign, right? Now the fact that everything has an equal sign, it means everything is actually storing a data. This John, this Leo, this 33, this true, and then this 4.4, right? So everything you are seeing here, okay, including the names, the numbers, okay, everything is actually data, right? Everything is storing the data. I'll just simply call it value, but I actually want to just use data now, right? So all of these are data, but if you take a closer look at each of these data here, you will see that they have different data types. They have different types, okay? Some are numbers, some are actually text, and some are even decimal, right? So they are storing different data types, right? They have different data types, okay? And different data types is, for example, this one is a text, this one is a number, this one is like a decimal, this one, what do we even call this one? It's actually a boolean, but we'll get to that later, right? So I just want to make sure that you understand what data types is, right? So they are all data, but their types are different, okay? So in n8n, that's what I'm trying to actually explain here. In n8n, n8n actually has different data types, and it has data types, the one called string, we have the one called number, boolean. What are all these anyways? And I'm going to come to explain that in simple terms. So these are all the data types in n8n: string, number, boolean, array, binary, and object. Okay, now this is just a summary of everything. Anything which is more like a string is, well, it's just text, okay? But technically, or in the more tech world, we usually call it a string, okay? And a string is just a text, okay? And a more simpler way to know what a string is anything inside double quotes, okay? Is a string. Maybe like hi, this is a string. And one crazy thing is that even if it's a number inside it, as long as it is wrapped inside the double quote, it is still a string. Okay, so that's like the string there. So we have the next one in this case, which is a number. Number is just number, right? So nothing to explain. Even if it's a decimal like 4 point maybe 2, it's still actually a number in n8n. And we have the third one, which is like a boolean. Okay, a boolean, think of a boolean as like saying yes or no. Okay, so but technically we don't call it yes or no, or think of it as used turning on the switch and turning off the switch, right? But a boolean is technically true or false, or it's like saying ones and zeros in computer. Okay, so a boolean can only have two values. Okay, it can only be two values, true or false. And if you remember the other time, anything which is true, you just have to write true. Okay, it's a special number, it's a special value rather on its own. Okay, you don't want to write true like this, right? If you're probably writing like this is a string, so they are special text which is boolean, which can only be true or false, and you don't need to put that in a double quote. Okay, we have the next one, which is an array. An array is just a list of items. So anything which is an array, if you want to list multiple things, like maybe you would just want to list your friends, maybe like J, you want to list Joe, you want to list AY, you just kind of like have to open a square bracket like this, and then you can write Joe. Joe is more like a text, so you want to just put that in the double quote, and you can write whatever their name is, right? So Ja, whatever, right? If you just want to store multiple values, you need to put them inside of a square bracket, right? And you might be wondering, what's square bracket again? On your keyboard there are different brackets. I'll come to that. So your keyboard, you have these different kind of brackets on your keyboard. You have essentially 4 kind of bracket. This one is usually called parentheses. Okay, and then we have the second kind of keyboard, which brackets rather, which I used earlier, and this one is actually called the square brackets. Okay, so you remember now. And then we have this other kind of bracket on our keyboard, which is called a curly, okay, brackets. Okay, and then we have this kind of last bracket on our keyboard, which is called the angle bracket. If you're probably a writing code, you are likely going to be using most of these brackets every time. So these are actual brackets names in this case, so that's kind of what I was talking about. So anyways, but anything array is usually stored in this kind of bracket, that's it. And then we have object. Okay, anything which is an object, basically object is just storing key value pair, and that's just it. Okay, and what I mean by a key value pair is actually like saying oh, your what's your name, and then instead of putting equal to, with an object you have to put colon, and then you can type the name like this. You can even continue by putting a comma, and then like saying age, and then the age is 33, right? Then the list goes on. So this name and age, they are the keys, and then this John and 33 are the values, right? So that's more like the way our data is stored in n8n. If you probably take a look at it now, that's more like the way n8n stores data. So key value, right? And anything which is exactly an object, okay, it's usually you usually have to open the curly bracket like this, and then you can start writing those stuffs which I was writing earlier, right? So that's kind of what an object is, and an array is the one you have to open this kind of bracket, this square bracket. Okay, good. And the last one is binary. Okay, so binary is basically anything that is a picture, a text, a picture, an image, a video, an audio, a PDF file, Microsoft file, all those kind of files, right? They are usually called binaries. Okay, so this is just the summary of what I'm about to go through. And just to go through it the final time here, if you look at it, I have a string here. So string is just text, words, letters, sentences, and these are like few different examples here in this case. And I already talked about this. Anything inside the double quotes, it's essentially a string, right? And it can be used for names, emails, messages, and so on. And I showed us how it is usually written. Okay, you just have to open double quotes, and then that's it. You write your name right there like so. And we talked about number. Number is just numbers itself. Decimal, no decimal, it's a number. Okay, and decimal doesn't usually have any quotes. You write it like that, even if it's a decimal. It usually works for things like prices, count, calculations. If you look at the sample here, age is like 32. You can see it's just written 32. And then rating 4.1, no special values there. And we talked about the third one, which is a boolean. A boolean can be one of two values, true or false. Okay, and think of it as saying yes or no, on or off, or ones and zeros like computer. And this for making decisions or conditions, just like saying, are you verified on Twitter, on Instagram, or on WhatsApp? It can either be true or it can be false. Okay, are you active? False or true? Mind you, it's not inside double quote. They are just special values on their own. Okay, and we talked about the next one, which is an array. An array is just simply a list of items. Okay, if you look at this example, I just want to list multiple numbers. You have to open a square bracket and list them. Or you want to list multiple values. It can be a text, it can be a number. You want to just open a square bracket like this, and then start listing what you want to. Okay, and the importance is it uses square bracket. That's one thing you can use to identify an array. Okay, and it's used for multiple values list, which I already mentioned. And then this is like an example which is self-explanatory. You open a square bracket, you can list whatever you want to list. All right, so we talked about objects as well. So object actually deals with key value pairs. Okay, and I mentioned some examples earlier. Okay, so name, we have the name colon then John like this. So email colon then whatever email it is. Okay, and one thing about objects is that it uses this curly bracket, as you can see here, right? Okay, and that's it. So, and this is like a few examples here, just what I showed us earlier in n8n. Okay, and we can we can have kind of like have name, and then the name, price, and then so this is all these ones on white here are actually the keys. Okay, and all of these ones here are the values. Okay, so that's it. And if we come back to n8n here, this is n8n, and this is like the edit field in this case. If you take a look at it, do you remember what an array is? An array is like starting with a square bracket, and you can have multiple values inside it, right? If you look at this data carefully, you will see the starting point of this is actually starting with a square bracket. And since it starts with a square bracket, it has to end with that square bracket. Okay, so which technically means that this is an array. Okay, this JSON data you are seeing here is an array. And this array, if you look at it closely, you see this is like one object here. You guys remember what an object is? An object contains key and it contains value, key and value. But instead of this object which you are seeing here is actually inside of an array. Okay, let's look at the second object. So this is kind of like the second object in this case. So as you can see, this is like the second object. You can see there's a comma after each object. Okay, and we go on the third one, the fourth one. So it's the same way your Google Sheets is. Okay, we are assuming everything here is an array. Okay, but instead of this array, we actually have multiple objects. Okay, this is like the first object. This is like the the second object. The third object. You get the idea, right? That's the same way it is here, but it's storing it differently here. Okay, so what you're actually seeing here now, since we have about 4 objects here, this is like the first object now. The second object is this row 3. We have the next object, which is this one here. You can see they're all inside curly brackets. Okay, and we have the last one here. So we would actually just call this an array of objects. Okay, so array of objects. Okay, because everything is like everything inside it is an object, right? Because everything is essentially just you having this square bracket, and we're having multiple brackets separated with commas inside it, right? And at the end, so this is like an array. Okay, and instead of the array, okay, we simply have all of this object inside it, right? So this is called an array of objects, and that's the way n8n the JSON data is actually is right now. Okay, so I think that is now well understood. So what I want to do now is don't forget where we're at right now. We are the get rows. I essentially want to copy all the data inside of this get rows into edit fields. Okay, I'm not doing anything special. I just want to copy. Okay, I'll talk about the reason why I want to copy. So I'll open up the edit fields by double clicking on it, and what I want to do now is I simply want to copy it. Okay, so in that case now, if you come to this middle part here, if you've not clicked on this drag input, you just make sure you click on it so that you can see this option here. Okay, so this name here, you can give it any name of your choice. It's like the name of what you want to give all these rows, right? So I'll just give it leads. Okay, it's essentially we want to copy all the data coming from the Google Sheet, right? So you need to give it a name, and I gave it a name called leads. All right, and then the next thing you want to do is to put all those values inside here. Okay, but before you put it, don't forget that what we have here is an array of objects, right? So essentially it's just an array. Okay, so what I will need to do now is I need to change this string to an array, because I just want to copy that same array here. Just click array. So what you want to do next now is to actually highlight everything here. So you are going to highlight everything to the end, okay, starting from here. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight. Okay, just make sure you highlight it properly. Just going to highlight everything carefully. Okay, we're highlighting absolutely everything to the end like this. Okay, so it's essentially everything we're highlighting. So right click and then copy, or you can Ctrl C to copy. And if you're not sure of what you copied, well, because sometimes it might not even copy perfectly, I can just paste that here. Just know that if it ends with this square bracket, you copied it to the bottom very well, but to the top, sometimes some people may have issues copying this properly. You can see at the top it's not starting with that square bracket, so which means it's not well copied. There's like, you probably need to maybe just try again. If I scroll up and I highlighted them properly, I don't know why that could be. Oh, look at. Okay, so let me just try again one more time. So I'm just going to try to copy that several times, Ctrl C multiple times. I'm going to remove this one, try to make sure that it's copied. So you can see again the same issue. It didn't end with the square bracket. So sometimes it might start with the square bracket. The only thing you just need to do sometimes is, if you, okay, it stopped at rejected here, so which is not well copied. So I'm just going to, oh, it didn't copy this one as part of it. Let me just try to zoom out and see if I can copy everything at once. Okay, so I'm just trying to zoom out and just highlight everything at once. I'm just going to overlight it to this input here. I'm intentionally highlighting it like that so it can overwrite. Okay, then I'll come again and paste it. Okay, so you can see at the end it actually shows that, oh, that's the end. But if I scroll to the top, you know, I over copied it to that input, right? The reason I did that was to make sure that I, you know, over copy. I'll just delete this input and 4 items. Cool. So everything is now well copied. You know, that's a problem of trying to copy there. Then I will Control A to highlight all, then Control C to copy. Okay, so make sure everything is properly copied, otherwise it will give you error. Okay, so when you've done properly copied it, then you come back to where you gave your, let me zoom in. Okay, you come back to where you have your values. Remember, we've added leads as the you know, name. Okay, so leads, in case you have not done that, then make sure you change this to an array. And then what you copied now, paste it here. Okay, I'm sure I copied it well, so I shouldn't have any error. And the next thing you want to do is to execute step either places. So I'm just going to do that anywhere. Okay, so this should give you the same result in this case. Okay, the same thing you are seeing here is also the same thing you are seeing here, right? So there's absolutely no difference. It's just a little difference, and the little difference is that we just give everything here a name while we copied it. And if you look at the right hand side, the name which we give it is leads. Okay, then its text starts to store all the data here, right? Cool. So we have this there. So we will click out. You can just click on this outside black side here anywhere. So since we have already copied this same data into here, we don't need this one again, right? Because it's the same data inside here now, right? So what you want to do now, we want to detach it from this workflow now. So to detach it from the workflow, just move your mouse around this line and also this line. Let's do this one first of all. So when you move your mouse around, you see these two icons like this plus and then this delete. So just click on, move your mouse around that line, click on delete. It will detach it. Do the same thing for this. Okay, just click on the line and click delete. So it has detached it now. So then after detaching it from the workflow, what you want to do is to simply move it outside. So you can maybe just move it around the top there. Okay, just keep it away from there for now, so we don't need it. So what you need to do now is we need to connect this workflow directly to this edit fields. And let's adjust it a little. Okay, cool. Then you click on execute workflow. I mean, it doesn't do anything, but it's still the same data here and, you know, here. Cool. So we don't want to just have unnecessary duplicate. Okay, so we've actually edited the fields right now, and let's double click on this edit fields to make sure that we are working with the actual data. Okay, so we have it clean and clear. So let's click out now. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is this data which we have here in this edit fields. Okay, we actually want to insert it back into Google Sheets. Okay, so this is my Google Sheet here. We are not going to insert it into this sheet one. Okay, so what you do, click on this sheet two. I mean, before we even click on this sheet two, you need to copy like this, you know, header here. Okay, so it's just the header we need. So in order for you to actually copy the header, okay, just click on, you know, this number one here. Just make sure you click on number one to show this blue highlighted part here. So when you click on that number one, you can just right click and copy, or for me, I'll just click on the number one, then Control C to copy, then come down to sheet 2 here. So make sure you actually click on this sheet 2. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it. Okay, so sheet 2 should be empty right now. So then inside of this sheet 2, I'm just going to click on this number one here. Okay, this, you know, part here. Okay, this part here, and then paste it. Okay, so immediately you do that, this is actually going to you know, give you the header, right? This is like the same header we saw earlier. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to, you know, push this data into sheet 2 of this document here. Okay, so to do that, what you want to do now is click on this plus sign here. Okay, so then in this case, what we are simply going to do is to actually search for append row in a sheet. Okay, so let's append row in a sheet. So just gonna click on that again. So we're just gonna search for sheets right there, and then you see Google Sheets and click on it, and then I'm just going to click append row in a sheet. So select this one here. So it's going to open up where we need to, you know, configure it. It's not going to just attach it like that. Okay, so now the next thing you are seeing here is actually the input, and this input is coming from the edit fields. Okay, so remember the edit fields, the second workflow now, the edit fields, right? So these are the data coming from it, right? That's like the inputs now. Okay, and then we in the configuration part, this middle part here, I'll be already signed in into our Google account, so there's no need for that again, except you have another Google account. In my own case, I have another Google account, so which I want to use. Okay, let's just stick with this one. Okay, you don't need to try to log into another Google account, just stick with this one, it's fine. Okay, so you don't need to change anything. Resource operation, leave it as is. Now this document here, if you click on this choose here, you would only see the document you have in your Google Sheet in this case, which is only this one called n8n web scraping. So select it. Okay, and then this sheet this time around, we want to put it inside the sheet 2, remember, and then we have copied it. If you are unable to copy, just simply type it, okay, inside each columns. All right, and then this time I'm going to open it, but this time I'm going to select sheet 2, okay, because that's where I want to, you know, put in that rows. Now append row simply just means I want to create a new row, or I want to put in a row inside Google Sheet. So that's what append row means, in case you probably stop. Then you click on execute step. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, now this is going to give you an error, obviously, because it says it does not know what value to send. And okay, so when you selected sheet 2, you will see that if you scroll down, all these values to send are all these columns here, like first name, last name. Now all this first name, last name is it's actually extracted it from here because it knows what is here, right? So that's why you're seeing the first name down to, you know, the last one called rejected. If I scroll down, the last one is rejected. If I added another column, for example, you will see it will reflect. Okay, so all these columns are coming there, but we would have one problem with this. Okay, what I just want to do is all this data here, you know, there are different names of people here, right? And I just want to take all of this and then, you know, put it inside Google Sheets. You know, just like the way we have sheet 1, that's the way I want to import it. But we would have one problem here, but let's try. So what you want to do now is this first name column, just hold and drag it into this first name. It can be anyone, just make sure you only drag and drop the first name, just one of it's, not two. So I'll move my mouse on this first name here. As you can see, my mouse is on it. Then you hold, okay, just the first name only, hold and drop it inside here and release it. Okay, so you can see I've hold and dropped it, but there's going to be a problem here, and I'm going to tell you what the problem is. Now when you drag and drop the first name there, it doesn't mean that it is Leo I'm dragging. Okay, it just automatically means I want all the first names, you know, of everyone. Josh, this Leo, Josh, I want everyone to be here, right? But there's going to be a problem. If I drag last name, you don't need to drag last name though, but you can just watch it. If I drag last name, for example, because I'm only dragging these two for now, and then I execute step, okay, by clicking on execute step there, you will see that immediately I go back to my Google Sheet. Okay, so let's actually see what happens here. So immediately I go back to my Google Sheet, you can actually see that it's not giving me all the first names and the last names, right? So this is a problem here, right? Even though I have dragged first name and last name, on a normal times when you drag first name and last name, it's supposed to return, you know, this, you know, first name. You can it's supposed to return Josh, right? Even when I dragged this last name, it didn't give me the last name of this person. It's still giving me the last name of this first data here. As you can see, if I check it now, you can see this layout. All right, so this is not what we need to do. Now is we need to fix this. So I'm just going to delete all of this. Just going to delete all of this. Okay, so you are going to click out, just click out. So this append row is not the best option to put here. Now what we need to do first is we need to split all the data inside this edit field. So when we split it, it will now become individual rows that will be inserted. Okay, because we don't want it like Leo. It doesn't even make sense, right? So it's like everything is locked to only one value. So this Leo, I'll delete it. Okay, so I don't want that. So make sure you delete it so it's not in there. Oh, so let's go back to my n8n. So this append row, I will detach it. Just move your mouse on this line and click on delete to detach it. Okay, so you can just place that up for now. We don't need that. So what we need to do now is this edit fields is just one item. As you can see, it says one item, right? So it only assumes all of this data here. Okay, all of this, you know, data here that would be put into the next workflow, it just assumes everything is just one, right? Okay, just assume everything is just one, which that's not what we want, right? So what you want to do now is we want to split out all this data inside here. Okay, so they can be free, they can become individual data that will be inserted all at once into Google Sheets. Okay, not like only one row. So click on this plus, so let's add another node, and then there's a node called split. Okay, split out. Okay, and what split out, if you look at it, it turns a list inside items into separate. Look at it, emphasis on separate items, right? Because if I look at this edit fields now, okay, you would actually see that everything is just one list, right? Because everything, the name of everything here is called lists, right? Cool. So what we want to do now is to split it, and that's why we are using split out in this case. Although even if we have copied this, that's no problem. I just wanted us to do something different. So click on it, and then you search for split. You see split out, so make sure you select split out in this case. So I'm just gonna select that. I'm going to open up the configuration, which is where I am right now, and all you just need to do is very simple. In the configuration, is asking which field or which list do you want to split out. You need to drag and drop it here. Okay, and to do that, you remember the list name here is actually called leads. Okay, so what you need to do is hold and drag this leads into this field to split out. Okay, so it's going to be there like that. Okay, cool. So, and that's all you need to do. So, and then just click on execute step. So what this is going to happen now is going to split everything back to the normal way it was from the beginning. Okay, it was like this from the beginning, right? Okay, so it has now splitted it. Now we now have this 4 result here. Okay, so everything is not a list again, it's not like leads. So everything is just an object on its own, so you can easily fetch them out separately, unlike the way everything is inside leads, so it's like just one. Okay, so that's the reason why we are splitting it out. Okay, so after, let's click out. So we've now splitted it out successfully now, and then after splitting it out, we can now decide to append it back to Google Sheets. So this append row, I'll bring it back here, and I'll connect it back. Okay, sweet. So what we will do now is let's now execute workflow again and see what happens. So you can see in the Google Sheet now, you can see successful. So let's check here and see what happens. Okay, so this is not actually here yet. So what you want to do now, let's go back to the workflow and actually see what is inside here right now. So I'll double click on the append row in a sheet. Okay, so you can actually see we kind of have a little issue here. It's not an issue though, but this is like the output. It doesn't know which first name to put or which last name. That's totally fine. So what you just simply need to do is, remember we actually selected sheet 2 the other time, and that's because it does not know what first name to put. Remember when we were trying to drag in our first name the other time, okay, it was only giving us this Leo, but by the time we drag it to give us all the first names from all the rows separately, no matter how many data we have. So what you do now, you drag this first name into the first name field, you drag the last name into the last name field, you drag the email into the email field, you drag everything absolutely. Okay, you drag the budget most especially into the budget field. The message, honestly I don't even need the message right now. Let me just say I dragged rejected too. Okay, you can drag the message and that's up to you. I don't need it for really this practical, so I'll just click on execute step and let's see what happens. Oh, sweet. So you can now see it says node executed successfully, and it is only what I drag on what I need that is actually inputting here. Had it been I was using Google Sheets, it's not what I need that will come here. Okay, let's say I only needed first name and last name. I won't be able to actually do that, and that's because Google Sheets is required to just get all the data automatically. But by copying this get rows into this edit fields, it allows me to edit what I want to add or what I want to remove. But it had one problem. I was not able to actually put it directly into Google Sheets, okay, because it simply was only focusing on one entire row only, and I had to split it out in this case so that it can become 4 items. Okay, you can say from one item now it has now split it out to 4 items, and then these 4 items is now inside this row. Okay, so the 4 items is waiting for the next thing to be done right now at the moment. Okay, so if I check it now in my Google Sheet, you would actually see I have all of this data right here properly. Okay, so you can see how powerful this is right in this case. Okay, so let's go back right here. So this is like the whole not the whole workflow, but at least we've actually tried out something right in this case. Okay, so we are going to actually proceed on to the next thing right now. And to proceed to continue now, we've actually understood so far what we have here. And if you look at the result here, we might want to do more things, like say looking at this budget now, we have this different amount of budget here, so we can actually add a filter to this you know, to our where is that again, to our fields here, right? I mean, before it gets to the edit field, we actually want to have some specific kind of split, right? Or we can literally add it after it has been splitted out. So once these 4 items are splitted out, we want to add a filter, and the filter can simply be that if the budget, for example, if any of the budget is not actually greater than or equal to 1000, then I do not want it. So basically, I simply mean that if any budget is greater than or equal to 1000, then I want to actually add it to this row in our Google Sheet, right? That's what I want to do now. And in order for you to actually do that, we might need to remove this one here, right? Because you know the 4 rows are here. We might just need to highlight everything like so, and you can delete it. So we have nothing here now. So let's go back to our n8n. So what we want to achieve right now is that we simply want to add a workflow in between split out and append row in a sheet, right? And how do we add a workflow in between? Okay, in order for you to actually do that, just move your mouse on this line here. You'll see this plus and this delete here. So click on the plus sign here to add. So this allows you add a workflow after split out. Okay, and the workflow we simply want to add this time, it's going to be filter. So just search for filter like so. Okay, and then you want to just click on keep only items matching a condition. So we only want to keep you know, the items that matches our condition, which is that we simply want to check the budget that is greater than or equal to 1000. Okay, that's what we want to do. So I'll click on filter, and the configuration is going to pop up as usual. Okay, so when you click on filter now, this is like this whole data is coming from split out. You know, we want to add it after split out, right? Okay, and then what you want to do now is in the configuration here, you see this value 1 and value 2 here. And what you want to do now is the condition which we want to make, because we have conditions here, so we want to make a specific condition. So the condition which we want to make is that we want to check this budget. So what you do is to hold and drag this budget and drop it inside value 1, right? So I'm going to do that now. So hold and drag it into the value 1 here. Okay, so I want to check if this budget, okay, I'll just click out. So I want to check if this budget, you know, this budget is a number. Okay, I want to check if this budget we are now using equal to. Okay, what you need to do is to click on where you have is equal to, and this is a number. As you can see, it's showing like a orange color, which signifies that this budget is actually a number. Automatically detects it. So what we want to do now, we want to check if this budget is greater than or equal to. So this is the option we select. Okay, so you select go to number, then select is greater than or equal to, then we specify, you know, the number you want to check if it's greater than or equal to. So 1000. So what we are trying to achieve here is to actually check if any budget is greater than or equal to 1000. So before you get this output, just to look at the right hand side, you can see we have the output. There's nothing on this output yet, right? So the output is going to be based on the condition set here already. And if you look at this budget now, this person with the budget of 100 is not going to be inserted. The budget with the 1000 is going to be inserted here. The budget with the 300 is not going to be inserted. The budget with the 5000 is going to be inserted. So basically just 2 details in this case here. Okay, so what you want to do now is I'm going to execute step to see the output right in this case. So let's get to see the output right in this case. And we get to see just two outputs, two results, because remember, we simply have just two budgets greater than or equal to 1000. Let's see what we have. Sometimes it might take longer than expected to, return the output. So sometimes you might just want to click out and you might want to stop the workflow, right? You might want to come back to execute it again. You can execute it from here, or we are working on filter. You can execute it from filter. So I'm working on filter. Just double click on filter to open it. Okay, and you might want to execute step again. Clicking on execute step there. Okay, good. So if you look at it carefully now, it says, in total we have 4 rows coming from the previous node, right? And right here it's telling us that it's kept 2 items for us, and then if you look at the right hand side, it discarded 2 items. The 2 items it kept for us was simply those whose budget is exactly or greater than 1000, as you can see right now. The ones it discarded simply means they didn't meet the requirements. Okay, so you can see this budget is 100 and checking the second one is 300. Okay, so these are the only 2 rows that will be inserted into Google Sheets in this case. Okay, sweet. So you want to just click out. Okay, and then let's stop it now. So then this time I'm going to execute workflow, and as soon as I execute workflow, we'll see that we only have 2 rows in our Google Sheet. So let's try to execute workflow in this case. So sometimes this might take longer than usual, and I'm pretty sure there's no problem with this workflow, except you might just want to check it out. So sometimes you can just have to stop it again. And okay, let's check it actually, because sometimes it just executes successfully even while you stop it. To confirm that, go to your Google Sheet and see what I'm saying. There you go, and you can see we simply have only 2 rows, and this is because their budget is actually greater than 1000 in this case. And that's just about adding filter here in this case. However, we want to simply add more few things to this in this case. Now what we want to do next now is we simply want to combine these 2 different fields into one. And what I simply mean is that, remember, we splitted out this. Remember this from here inside this edit field. If I open it, remember it was a single list, right? Just to remind you, it was a single list like this, right? So everything was inside a single list called leads. Okay, and you remember after that we actually splitted it out. So by opening it, when we splitted it out, we were able to take everything inside leads. Okay, you can see inside leads we were able to split it, and then we're able to get the output here in this case. So that means we have individual rows. We have individual rows, right? And after splitting it out, we're able to add some filter and then add it back to Google Sheets, right? But what I want to do now is, where we splitted it, I actually want to bring all those lists, those separate items into a single list back. Essentially, I just want to convert it back to a single list, right? But we don't need to use edit fields here. There's a special one we can simply use. There's a special node. Just click on the plus sign here, and there's what we call aggregate in this case. Okay, and what aggregates, from what the little note you see here, it combines a field from many items into a single into a list in a single item. Okay, so what you want to do is to click on aggregate in this case. Okay, sweet. So when you click on aggregate, you would get to see the only rows that passed the filter, right, which is just 2 here. Okay, so what you want to do now is this aggregate, if you open it, we will select all items data. We want it to a single list, so I'll select that. And then what you want to do is this data, you can simply change it just to leads. Okay, remember it was like a list of leads initially, right? I'm just like renaming it to leads, and that's fine. That's the only thing we need to do. Okay, so what you want to do is to execute step. So you see it turns back to a list of leads. Remember, it is like this, but by the time it's converted now, you see leads colon, you know, square bracket, blah blah blah. So let's actually get to see the output here. So if you kind of like have this issue where it runs and it doesn't stop, don't worry, just click out. You can stop it here by clicking on this stop here. Okay, then you can kind of like go back to aggregate by double clicking on it to open it. Then you can you can say I don't need to execute step again. You can see now the result is here in this case. So this is now just a list of leads in this case. Remember, there was nothing like leads in this one here. Okay, so we have now converted it into a single list, and this single list is called leads in this case. Okay, sweet. We could have just ended it here and say, oh, that's the end of it. I just want to use different nodes so that you guys will get familiar with all of these different kind of nodes. Now the next thing I want to do now is, if you take a look at each of these objects inside of this lead, you would see that I have the person with a budget of 1,000, you know, stays up first, and the person with a 5,000 purchase rather actually stays up second. What if I want to flip it, where this person actually comes you know, first here because he has a higher budget, and then this other person comes second? Maybe I just want to rearrange these leads the order of their budget, right? So how do I get to do that? In that case, let's click out. Okay, just click out somewhere there. In that case, we need to actually add what we call sort. So let's add a new node called sort. So you can click on this plus sign. So I'm not adding it actually, but there's what we call sort here. And well, this sort might not give us the exact thing that we want. You might sort some basic things like, you know, text sorting, but this sort, the reason why it may not sort it for us is because if I open the aggregate function, it's not a simple kind of thing it can sort. You can see how complex this is. You know, there's like stuff inside stuff, stuff inside stuff, right? You know, we kind of like have these two objects inside a, you know, we kind of have it inside a, you know, oops, we kind of have it inside the list, right? This like list here, right? And inside of it we have another object, so you can see how complex it is. So we kind of like have another object again inside of it here, and inside this object again we simply have another list, you know, enclosing it. So you can see how complex it is. So you may not easily sort this, right? And that's why we won't be able to use this sort in this case. Probably if you just want something simple, you can use sort. So that, but now this is where n8n is limited, but you can actually actually go outside of this whole thing that n8n gives you. You can use the superpowers of n8n, and that's where you need to actually write code. And actually we are not writing any code. You don't even need to learn how to write code. Okay, but what you want to do is to search for code. Code is just like a programming language, a set of instruction, you know, to achieve a goal, right? So whatever you want to do, the last thing you might just want to do if you are not able to achieve what you need to achieve is just by writing code. Okay, so and when you run and select this code, you can write code in a programming language called JavaScript, in a programming language called Python. You don't need to understand this, like I said, don't worry, just work with me. So I'm going to select code in this case, and it tells you, oh, what programming language do you want to write your code? JavaScript, of course. So select code in JavaScript. So this is going to pop up this dialog box for you, and you know, right here on the left, of course, you know, we have the inputs. This input is actually coming from the aggregate node, right? And on the right hand, there's no output yet. And don't forget what we want to do. What we want to do is to arrange this budget, okay, from the highest to the least budget. So 5,000 comes first, then, you know, the 1,000 comes second. And we can use that using an ordinary sort. Okay, so in this configuration here, okay, so we have the mode. You leave the mode as is. You have the language. Okay, you can even change your language here to Python if you wanted to. So, but we'll leave it the way it is right now. So we now have the next one called the code, the JavaScript. Okay, so the code is going to be written inside here. Okay, and you can see there are already some codes right inside it. So what you want to do inside of this code here, just highlight and delete everything. So I'm going to highlight and delete everything. Okay, so it's empty right now. Now you are not writing any code, I'm not explaining anything. We are going to actually meet up our friend here. So what you need to do is to press Ctrl T, or you can click on the plus sign. We are simply going to go to ChatGPT, and because that's the easiest way you can actually get to write your code. So chatgpt.com. You don't need to sign up, just go to the website where. Okay, so this is ChatGPT right here in this case, and we will just tell you what we want to do, or what the problem is, and it is going to generate the code for us. All you just need to do is to learn how to write your prompt better, so that it can give you the actual one. And honestly, when you try it once, it's not always perfect, right? So what we want to do again, you already know what we want to do. We want to simply tell it to write a JavaScript code for us. Remember, we're actually working on JavaScript code. We want it to write a JavaScript code for us that would rearrange this incoming, this is like an incoming data. Okay, we want to rearrange this incoming data for us, okay, where it would sort the budget from the highest to the lowest. That's what we just want the ChatGPT to do for us, but we need to specify that in n8n, because it might not know, so let's just, you can write it anyhow. I'm just going to kind of like write it like this. So I can say, can you let me just say, can you please create a sort in n8n code node that sorts let's say that sort incoming data from the highest budget to the lowest budget. So let's, from the highest budget to the lowest budgets. Okay, so let me adjust this few texts. Okay, so this is just where I'm going to write it. Okay, so, and then you put a colon. Now if you want to jump to the next line below the text, you hold down shift and then you tap enter on your keyboard, or tap it one more time. So it needs to know what it needs to sort, right? So what I'm gonna do now is go back to my workflow. Then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna copy the whole of this here. Okay, because this is what I wanted to sort for me. I'm just gonna copy everything, right click and then copy. I'm going to come back to ChatGPT here and then paste that. Okay, so it's going to kind of like look rough, but just be sure you pasted it below. Okay, so when that is done, then I'm just going to submit it to ChatGPT, and let's see what it's actually going to do for us. Actually, you don't even need to understand this code, right? So it says it will sort the leads array from the highest budget to lowest. Okay, so this is like the code here in this case. Okay, so let's actually test it by just clicking on this copy to copy that. Okay, and it says output after sort. It should give you this output after it. Okay, let's try to copy this code, which I have already. Okay, and then I go back here, and to paste it, you click inside your code, this line 1 here. Okay, paste it. Okay, and then I'm going to execute step now. Let's see what happens. Sometimes it doesn't give you the actual output you want. That's totally fine. And honestly, all you just need to do is to go back to ChatGPT again, and maybe this time around you can actually take a screenshot instead, right? You can simply take a screenshot of this and tell it you want to sort, you want a JavaScript code to sort this result from the highest budget to the lowest budget, right? The object from the highest to the lowest budget. So I keep having this issue where it doesn't show the output immediately. Let me try to click out. Okay, let me try to click on the code in JavaScript again. Just double click to open. Okay, it still doesn't give me other output. So let me click out. I need to stop it here, right? So I don't know why it's doing like that several times. Okay, and then let me double click on code in JavaScript. I'm pretty sure the output is there. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can see we have the result exactly the way we want it. Okay, so you can now see the budget 5,000 comes first, then followed by the least budget. Okay, and as you can see here, initially it was the lowest to the highest, but by learning how to prompt ChatGPT to give us the code for us to sort it by the largest budget, just paste the code there, just use ChatGPT, that's it. Okay, good. So we have actually written a code in JavaScript now. Just click out. So you can see how easy it is, that you don't even need to learn any language to achieve this. Okay, cool. Now the final thing we want to do now is, okay, now even if you don't, sort it, that's totally fine. But we've sorted it. Then lastly, what we want to do is to send it to our Gmail in this case. Okay, we want to, send this, this result. It filtered it from filtering, it added it to the Google Sheets, and then after adding to the Google Sheets, you could have just sent a Gmail message directly. But you knew the reason why we added this aggregate. It converted it into a single list, and then we sorted it using a code. And now what we want to finally do is that filter, okay, the results, we want to, send it to our Gmail. So click on the plus sign here. And what you want to do now is to search for Gmail. You just want to send a message to, whoever is going to receive it. Okay, so you're going to look for send a message. Where is that? So you click on this send a message here. Okay, it's going to pop up right here in this case. Okay, so the message is going to send is just basically this ones here, right? So that's what you are going to receive, your Gmail. And what you want to do is to sign in with Google. That's if you have not signed in with Google already. Otherwise, you might want to click on the drop down and click on create a credential or something like that. So I'll click on sign in with Google in this case. I'm going to be getting this drop down here. I'm going to be signing in with my Google account. Okay, so I'm just going to click right on that like so. So it might prompt in this case if I want to give it access. So what you want to simply do in this case is to actually give it access. And to give it access, you simply need to just click on select all. So I'm just going to select everything, and then I'm just going to click on continue here. This is going to give you full access to my Gmail account in this case, right? Cool. So as soon as it gives it access, oops, looks like there's a little issue here. Just gonna try again. Also, it successfully logs in now. So what you want to do now is we actually want to send a message. That's the operation. So to whom do you want to send it to? So I'm just gonna send it to maybe myself. So the just gonna type my email there. Okay, so just to be sure it's correct. Okay, sweet. Then you want to add a subject, just like the title of your email. So I could just say this is the lead for today. And then the email type. Now this email type is going to be like text, because HTML is more like a markup language. And actually, if you kind of like familiar with program language, you might want to use that. But I'm just gonna change it to text. Okay. Then this message, I could just say this is today's lead. Okay, just put colon. And actually I want to change this to an expression. Okay, so I can write better instead. So I'll click on expression, and when you change it to expression, it gives you this kind of red stuff. Just make sure you click on this icon to expand this. So expand it so that you can type freely, right? Cool. And that's why you need to change it to expression. So in this case now, I'm just like saying this is today's lead. Now the lead in this case is going to be, what you just simply need to do is to drag this lead in here. Okay, and you see jasons.lead. All right, cool. So that's it. So I'm just going to click out and close off of this. And then lastly, this add option, you can select n8n attribution and switch it off. Actually, I'll switch it on for now. So I mean don't even touch it, don't worry, just delete it. Okay, so it's nothing here, just the message. And I'm going to execute step, and I'm gonna receive it. Okay, so then I'll go to my Gmail here. So this is like my Gmail here right now, waiting for the message. I might just need to refresh to see if the message is here. Oh, there you go. So you can actually see that we have received the message. This first message at the top here, where it actually says the lead for today, and this was what I sent just now. So I'm just going to open this right here now, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna click, and you can see that we have this right in this case. But you can see we kind of like have a problem here. It says this is today's lead, but it's saying object. So that's basically because it doesn't even know how to break this details here. It doesn't know how to break how to actually extract this lead here. Like the name, so that's why it's saying object, and that's because all these are objects. So it looks more complex, you know, objects inside of list, then objects inside of list again. So you can see how complex it is, and so it doesn't know how it would actually break this out. Okay, that's the problem here. And if you look at it, this one called the email was sent with n8n. We don't want it to be part of our email. So that's when if you don't want it to be part of your email, you open this add option. Okay, then you click on append n8n attribution, then switch it up. So if you send an email, it doesn't come with that stuff here. So what we want to do now is to actually you know, fix this so that we you know, get the real result. So it's just very simple to fix. In this case, we might just need to write a code to actually convert this old stuff to text, so that we can just put it here easily, right? Because there's no way you can do it without writing code. So just click out. So when you click out, in this case, what we need to do now, just adjust this. We need to add a node. We need to add a node after this code in JavaScript. Just simply need to add a node here. So you move your mouse on this line, click on the plus, and then this time around, you are going to simply search for code. You need to write down that code, honestly speaking, that's the only way. Okay, and you don't need to write any code. ChatGPT is our friend. So click on code and click on code in JavaScript. So this is going to pop up again, like right on my screen. Okay, and we are going to get the same result here in this case. So what we just need to do is to delete this old code here in this case, right? Just like we did earlier. And what we want to do now is to write something different here this time around. So we want to tell ChatGPT that we let's just go to ChatGPT. Okay, let's just say I have another request. I can say, can you please, you know, just I just want to tell it, please. It doesn't matter, right? So can you please pull out all the text from this JSON, and let's say and turn it into text field, right? And then put colon. So what you want to do now is I'll just go back to n8n, and then I'm going to copy this same data from the input here. Okay, just going to right click and copy, and I'm just going to go back to ChatGPT and paste that. So I just basically want it to, you know, turn turn all of those text into JSON, to turn it into text fields rather. So pull out, so that's a mistake. So pull out all the text from this JSON. You know, I don't know why I put it as a screenshot instead of text. So you can just paste it on there by holding down shift and press enter. And I just hope it's the correct stuff. But let me try copying that again. Honestly, I don't know why that is. I'm just copy this again, copy like that, then come below and paste it. Okay, so I think it's now properly pasted. Okay, so now just, you know, let it go. So what this is going to do for you is going to turn it into a text field. And like I said, you don't need to understand any, you know, magic right here. Okay, so this is like the stuff it gave me. So what I'm just going to do is to, you know, click on this icon to copy, or you can allow it to copy. Now come back to n8n here and paste that JavaScript code here. I'm just gonna paste it. So I don't even understand anything, honestly. And then this execute step, they are now active. You might want to click out. Okay, that's because it's already running, so you need to stop it. So stop that and come back to code in JavaScript 1. Okay, and then let me execute step to see if that actually works. So if it doesn't give the outputs, don't worry, it might already be run. Just click out and just double click on it again, the code in JavaScript 1, to probably see if the output. You can stop it. Okay, so you want to just click out in this case, and you might need to stop it. Okay, so I don't know why this issue occurs every time. Then double click on code in JavaScript 1 again, and let's see if the outputs. Oh, there we go. Okay, anyways, this is like word stuff here. It's supposed to give us just one, by the way, but that's fine. Okay, let's just click out and let's actually then execute this workflow completely now. Let's see what happens. Okay, and then you might have, let's go back to this our inbox. This our inbox and see what happens, whether we receive any message or anytime soon. Okay, so we get the result. Actually sent it twice. I don't know why that is, but let's just open it, by the way, and actually see if that even works. Okay, so it says this is today's lead, nothing inside it. That's totally weird. Let's try go back to our n8n, and I kind of like knew that this code was probably, this code in JavaScript 1 looks more like duplicate here in this case. Let's try to go to ChatGPT. Now if it gives you a problem like this, that's totally fine. All right, it could have expected, you know, this could have been the result, right, in this case. Okay, I think this option is going to combine it together. This one is going to give me the items, one field per lead, and I think that's the more reason why I'm getting two emails at once, which is not what I want. I only want everything to be one, right? So you can see you should always read what it tells you, right? So let's try to copy this second one here, this option 2, and at least if you look at your own code, it should be more like similar. Okay, so it should give us a single output like this. So let's kind of like try it again. So we'll go back to n8n, and then I'll paste the second one, delete this one here. Okay, and I'll paste the second one, and then I need to click out. I need to stop this, and then execute workflow again. Okay, but this send a message. Let's double click on it. Looks like I haven't finished it. Okay, so but when you pasted that code, you know, we need to change some things here, right? We need to change some things here. Okay, just remember the code is executed already. If I come back to code in JavaScript 1, this code is executed successfully, and you can see that we have one text now. You know, initially the code I pasted was having two separate text fields, but now it's just one. Okay, so what you need to do now is, let's click out. So come back to this send a message, this Gmail here. Okay, but what we are going to be having here is not going to be json.leads again. Okay, you know, we've converted it to text in this case, so delete this in this case. So what you are going to do now is to drag in this text. Okay, this, you know, coming from where we wrote our code earlier. So hold and drag this text below here. Oh, and that's it. So the result should be what we have here, today's lead, and you should get this stuff like this. Okay, and that's it. So let me just take out, and this append n8n attribution, it won't come with that the message was sent with n8n like it did earlier, and the output is going to be this, our Gmail ID, the where it's sending it to. Okay, and let's execute step again. Okay, and then let's go to our Gmail. So it should be successful. Let's go to our Gmail. Okay, so this is the new one here. The one I tested earlier is not, so this one is not, right? So you click on the most recent one now. Boom. Okay, so you can see this is the subject, this is today's lead, and then we get today's lead. You can see the budget is properly arranged from 5,000. Then we have the other one, which is 1,000, as you can see, right? Cool. So this is like a simple automation we've just created in n8n. Though we are not done, we've not even achieved what we simply want to achieve, but it's so important for you to actually understand this whole process that I've explained so far. So I'm just going to fit everything now. I'm just going to arrange it. So you can see this list of few ones we have actually tried now. Okay, so this is like it. So what you want to do now is, we actually now want to use this, not all this process, in fact the process to actually extract web script data from, you know, I'm not going to use Upwork or Indeed, actually just going to be using you know, Google. You can use Indeed, whatever. Okay, but for the most part I'm just going to be using, you know, I'm just going to like go to Google. So you can simply go to google.com in this case, and then you can search for whatever job or whatever thing you want to search. I'll just use maybe Lagos cleaners. I'll just type Lagos cleaners as an example. When you type Lagos cleaners, by the way, it will show you a lot of, researches. You can type whatever you want, that's up to you, right? And but let's just use this example for now. Then you see something like more places, you click on it. Okay, and I just want to extract the data here in Google, right? Like, it could be the name of the business, the rating, okay, the website, the phone number, right? So that's what we want to do now. And honestly, it's even really short to do that in a second. Okay, so so what you were gonna do now is you would actually highlight everything. Yeah, so you would highlight absolutely everything. Yeah, everything we've done here so far, you just highlight it, right? Okay, so when you highlight it, everything properly highlighted. It's like I need to do that again. So okay, so you highlight everything. Okay, then you just right click on any one of it. Okay, any node. So when you right click, you will see this deactivate 10 nodes. Okay, so we want to deactivate 10 nodes, or you can just press D on your keyboard. Okay, so I'll just click on deactivate 10 nodes. So it's deactivated. Now just hold and move it up. Okay, cool. Right, now we can now actually show you the process on how to web scrape data. All right, so now we are done with this part here. So the next thing we want to do is to actually web scrape from the website. And in this case, all I would just need to do is I'm just going to search for anything. So let me just make sure that you know what I want to web scrape. You can simply go to google.com. Okay, google.com, and this is if you've not done that before. So when you go to google.com, you can literally search for anything you probably are interested in. So for me, I'll just use Lagos cleaners. It could be any job, anything, right? So just gonna do it like this, right? That's fine. Okay, and then it's going to open up various results like this, right? You see various of it. But while I'm scrolling gradually, you see what we call places. Okay, and then it's exactly what I want to focus on. So if I scroll down a little bit more, you see we have more places. If you click on more places, it's actually going to open up even an extensive result for you to see more places here in this case. So these are like different businesses related to what I just searched now, right? And some of them have websites and some don't. In fact, if you know how to build a website, you can just send a code message or call this business. You can create a website for them, show them it's important. You can make money off it, right? So this is one way to do stuff like that. Okay, so but what we want to do now is we actually I want to use this example, this Lagos cleaners. I want to web scrape all the data here. You can see there's a lot of it, right? It's really a lot of it. But for now, I'm just going to get started. So let's go back to our n8n in this case. Now with our n8n, don't forget that we have actually deactivated about all of these workflows we created earlier, right? And we don't need to activate it. We can simply create another workflow by starting another trigger again, right? So don't think it's only one trigger you can have in your editor, right? So if you actually want to do that, just click on this plus sign here. Okay, so this is going to open up the side panel for you, and if you scroll down a little bit, you're actually going to see an option called add trigger. Okay, so we want to create a multiple workflow here. If you click on it, this time around we are going to click on schedule trigger. Okay, so maybe I want this it should web scrape the website every day or every hour, every specific amount of time. Then that's what I want to achieve. So I'll click on a schedule. So when I click on the schedule, of course, it's going to open up this pop-up for me. And on the left hand side, there's actually no input, configuration and output here. This is because this is the starting point. So it's just going to be the configuration and then the output. So right here, you can see we have a trigger interval. That is, how many times do you want this to run in days, hours, weeks? I'll just leave it in days. Just that's totally fine. I'm not editing anything, so just one day. It should run every day. Okay, and the trigger hour is at midnight, so you can tweak it if you need to. I'm going to click test this trigger. I mean, it doesn't do anything though, just gives you a successful execution, right? Cool. So this is like the details of the trigger, right? So it's basically showing you everything here. Okay, so probably maybe it's going to run at 732 and like that. Okay, anyways, just click out. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, so I'm just going to bring this here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is to show us the tools we simply need to actually use to web scrape data from whatever website, right? And this tool is actually called Apify. So you can press Ctrl T or click on the new tab there, and here we are going to search for Apify. Just type Apify, but it's apify.com anyhow you want it. So if I hit enter on that, this is going to take me to this website called Apify, and we are going to see that in a second. So you can literally just type apify.com instead of wasting time typing Apify again, and we gotta wait for it to load. Okay, so you can see this is the first link, Apify full stack web scraping and blah blah blah. Just click on it, or you type apify.com as you see. It takes you to the same website. That's fine. Okay, so you can see this is the website right here, and this website, it gives you access to allow you web scrape data from anywhere, absolutely anywhere. Okay, you can web scrape data from TikTok, you can web scrape data from Google Maps based on your search or based on the results you want. You can web scrape data from absolutely any website. Okay, so you can see there are over 22,000 websites you can scrape for, and I don't even think we know up to 22,000 websites, right? Okay, so when you visit this website, you are going to it's just going to give you some couple of things which is going to connect your n8n. Okay, so when you're on this website, what you want to do is to click on go to console. So this allows you to create an account. So right here on this website, what you want to do is you can type in your email here, a confirmation code will be sent to you. But if you already have your Google account right here, just click on continue with Google. Okay, it doesn't require password and all of those stress. So I'm just going to select my account, which I want to use in this case. Okay, and then it might ask you to give it access, or it might just even just logged in directly. Whatever it says, just make sure you give it access. So I'm just going to continue in this case. Okay, and this is going to open up the Apify console for me right in this case. Okay, and mind you, this n8n which we are going to be using very soon. Okay, there's also Apify right there that we can simply connect. Okay, and while this is processing, let's go back to our n8n in this case just to show you that. Okay, so back to my n8n here in this case. Okay, so what we want to do now is that here we want to connect the next trigger, and the next trigger which we simply want to connect is going to be the Apify trigger. Okay, I mean the Apify node. Okay, and to do that, of course, you click on this plus sign here, or you can click on the plus sign here, either way. Okay, so I'm just gonna click, then you search for Apify. Okay, so Apify, and when you search for Apify, you can actually see that there's the node here itself called Apify. Okay, it allows you to web scrape data, extract data, and perform some automation. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it, and there are different actions you can perform with this Apify. Okay, so but what we want to do now, we don't just want to run it. Run an actor just simply means we want to run any web scraping tool like Google Maps or Indeed, whatever. But what we want to do is not just to run it, we want to run and get the data set at once. This is like performing two steps at once. Okay, so I'm just going to click on run and run an actor and get a data set. But as you can see, it is not clicking, right? So this is because Apify does not come with n8n. It's an external tool. Okay, so what you need to do now is to actually click on this install node. Okay, to actually install it. All right, otherwise you will not be able to use any of those actions. I'm just going to click to install node, and it's just going to take a couple of seconds to finish installing. Boom, and then you can see we have it installed already. Then you can now get access to the tools at the bottom here. So you can now scroll back down and click on this run an actor and get data set. So I'm just gonna click right on that. Okay, so immediately you click right on it. Okay, this is like the configuration aspect. So there's no input yet. Okay, this is the configuration where you do configure the settings of what you want to do. And then whatever thing that the Apify extract is going to be in this output here. Okay, sweet. So what we want to do now is don't forget we've just created an account called Apify by going to apify.com. Okay, then you want to create your account. While we are simply creating your account, you might want to put in your full name. I think we didn't finish it earlier, right? So just click continue anyways. That's totally fine. Okay, and then you get to see you have your account right here. So one thing you need to understand is that, of course, most of these tools that are really good for business purposes or for some good purpose, right? Most of them aren't free. But anyways, this Apify actually gives us $5 free credit. Okay, so which means right now you have a free $5 free credit. Then you can simply use it once it reaches $5 maximum credit. And that's like the end. For example, maybe if you probably web script up to 1,000 data, okay, or 1,000 rows, I think that's about $4. So I don't even think you might need up to that anyways. So, but if you're using it for some serious purposes, you might need to actually upgrade. All right, so I don't think that should be a problem. And we have a free space of 8 gig RAM, or you probably create on that account if you still need it. Okay, so there are a lot of things you can actually web script. Social media, you can web script so many things, right? And we'll come back here in a second. So let's go back to our n8n, by the way. Okay, so back to this our n8n now. When we clicked on Apify, we simply know what we need to do now. Okay, we selected run an actor and get data set, and now it's asking us to connect to Apify. Okay, it's asking us to connect. So we just basically log in, click on it, connect to Apify. You have to make sure you click on it. So this is going to pop up on your screen. So you simply need to connect your Apify. Maybe using the same Gmail you used to log in. That really go well. And that's it. That is what you should actually use anyways. Okay, so you can see it says sign in with Apify in this case. Okay, which I think Apify already knows that I am using this account already. In case you don't is using a different Gmail, whatever, just make sure you use the proper one. I'll click on this my account. Okay, so I want to connect it to n8n, and I'm going to allow access in this case. Okay, and I think after this, that's all. The account is successfully connected in this case. Right, cool. So the next thing you want to do now is we want to see the few different options that are actually available here. So the resource, we don't need to change anything. The resource, the actor, leave it as is. The operation, leave it as is. That was what we selected from the beginning. So just basically leave everything the way they all are right now. Now, there's one more thing that we simply need to do now, which is it's asking us, which actor are we using? And what it basically means is which tool or which website do we want to web script? And you don't need to type it here yourself. Okay, so let me show you how to get the actor in this case. So you need to go to Apify. So go back to Apify. So what you want to do is we want to web script Google. So if you're not seeing this interface, just click on Apify store. Okay, to take you to this Apify store here, and you want to search for Google Maps and enter. So if you search for Google Maps, there are a lot of Google Maps web scraper in this case, right? And one thing you need to know is that some of it might stop working over time. Okay, but we are going to go with the very first one here. Okay, this one that says Google Maps scraper. It's about 332,000 uses. Okay, and the rating is a very good rating. However, there are some other ones too, but we'll stick with this first one here. Okay, so this one here. So we just want to it just allows you to extract data from thousands of Google Maps location businesses, including reviews, reviewer details, images. So this is really powerful. Just click on it, and when you click on it, it's going to take you to where you simply need to do the setup. Actually, we are not even doing much setup in this case. Just want to copy some few things and set up what we call our actor. Remember, it's asking for our actor. Right now we don't even have any actor. Let's go back. Okay, sweet. So this is it right here. Okay, and if you also look at the sidebar, you see what we call actors, but we are not clicking on it right now. Anyways, the first thing you are going to do here is this search terms. Search term is basically what you want to search on Google, and then you want the, a lot of results automatically. You can type anything there. You remember I was trying to use Lagos cleaner, so maybe that's what I'll just use so that it can be consistent instead. So I'm just going to type Lagos cleaners. Okay, you can type anything there, any job, okay, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. And you can even add more if you want to add more. That's fine, that's up to you. And the location you want to get all these results from, is it from USA, New York? So I'm just going to write Lagos, or if it's just the entire Nigeria, just write Nigeria there. But I just want to be specific here in this case. Okay, and then that's it. And then the number of places to extract is how many rows do you want? Do you want 50 rows? Whatever. Since this is just for practical purpose, and actually I don't even need much, let me just say 15. I'll put 10, that's fine, that's up to you. Okay, and the next one is language. Now all these ones, these ones are extra settings that you can actually try to put there, okay, if you want, but I don't need any of this. You can tweak any of this if you want, but I'll just skip it. And when you are done with everything, the next thing you need to do is to actually click on save. Now when you save, the name of your actor is simply Lagos Cleaners. Okay, so I'm just going to click on save. So make sure you save. Okay, save. Okay, so you can actually see it is saved now. Immediately you save anything you've done here, that's your actor, right? Now if I go back to n8n, right, in this case, and I say I want to choose from actor, now it says no result. That's totally fine. All you just need to do is to click out. Okay, just click somewhere around the edge there, just click out. Okay, sometimes if you want to just refresh to make sure that it's working, just click out. Okay, then you have to double click. You have to open this run actor, just double click to open it again. So then what you simply need to do now is, the name of your actor is not actually going to show as Lagos Cleaners, but you definitely see the one we created now. Okay, so you can see it says Google Maps scraper blah 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 blah, right? That's it there. So you click on it. Okay, good. Now we've actually put in the actor there. Now the last one is this input JSON. Okay, now this JSON, don't worry about that. We are not going to ChatGPT or writing any code. Just go back to your Apify and you scroll to the very top. Okay, now when you scroll to the very top, you will see where we actually have what we call form JSON. So this JSON here. So click on JSON. I believe you know what JSON is. It contains key then value pairs. So don't need to worry about that anyway. So this is the JSON we are going to copy. Just click on this icon to copy. Okay, so I'm just going to click on this icon to copy. So it's copied it now, and what you need to do is to come back to your n8n here, and before you paste it, you have to delete this little stuff there, then you paste it. Okay, that's what you just need to do. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so when you are simply done with this, just click on execute step. Okay, anywhere you have it there, so click. Now you don't execute step yet. This is because we've not connected it to the first trigger, so just click out anyways. Okay, let me try to stop it because stop it. So we've not connected them together, right? So I'm just going to bring it closer to connect it together. Okay, so that it can just be a single on there. So I'm just going to drag this to this. Okay, so it's now connected now, right? Okay, good. So you can see we have 15 items. We already executed it. That's if you executed it. If you didn't, don't worry, just try to execute workflow here, and then it will give us the result. Okay, it says it extracted 15 Lagos cleaners from the Google, and just double click back on this to let's see the result. So double click back on it. Okay, so when you double click back on it, this schedule trigger would not, the only input it will have is like the setup of how you want it to run and so on, right? So on the right hand side, this Apify, this is the output it gives us. So this is like the whole thing it extracted here on Google, right? And it it's quite a lot. You can see it's really a lot. Both the phone numbers, they are opened, a lot of information here, right? So but we are not going to say we need everything. We are going to only extract the ones we need, right? And that's where we need to put it in Google Sheets. Maybe in Google Sheets we put it in Google Sheet, we might not put all the rows because every single thing here is like a row in Google Sheet. So what we can simply do is like a column. I mean, so you can have a column called maybe review counts and so on. So you can only select the specific ones you want. So we'll get there in a second. Okay, so but the next thing now is to put the result in Google Sheets. That's the last thing we're doing. So I'm just gonna click out. Okay, so we need to connect, add all of these rows into Google Sheets. So the next thing you want to do now is to click on this plus to let's add a new node. So I'm just gonna click and then I'm just going to type sheet. Okay, and then I'm just going to click on Google Sheet itself. Okay, so what we simply want to do now, we are trying to actually put in a new rows, right? So what you want to do is just click append rows in a sheet. So I think that should actually work. So it's going to put in all of these rows. Append just simply means to put a row, right? And we also have append and update. It means it is going to put a new row in the Google Sheet or update if there's probably any row more like what we have before. So I'll just click on this second one, append row in a sheet. I'm just going to click on it. So it's going to open up this dialog box. Okay, and then we can now decide to do what we want to do. So first of all, here, let me execute previous node. Looks like that went off. Okay, so what we want to do now is, before we move on, we need to go to our Google Sheet and select the document we want to put this result. So let's go back to our Google Sheet. So in your Google Sheet here, you can actually create a new sheet and do all of that. But what I just simply want to do, let me just create a new sheet here. If you want to create a new sheet, you can just click on this plus here, okay, to create a new sheet and do something different inside it. Okay, so you can see we have a new sheet now. Then at the bottom, you are going to see we have sheet 3 at the bottom here. Okay. All right, so what we want to do, you can rename sheet if you want. So for this, it's always good to rename it. And all you just need to just right click on it. Then you will see rename. Just click on rename. You can just name it to Amplify Web Scraping. It's you can just leave it like that, or you can write with Google because you might want to do multiple web scraping. Okay, so that's like the name, but this is the document here. Inside the document, we are using the sheet 3, the one called Amplify Web Scraping. Okay, so what you want to do now is to go back to your n8n, right? In this case, then you want to select the document, of course, the one where I showed us now. So if I open up this, you will see the document. It's called n8n Web Scraping Sample Data. You click on it, and inside it, we have about 3 sheets, and we named one properly so that we know the sheet we are working on. So if you click on this sheet to open it up, you see we have different sheets here, right? And you should know the one we are going to select, which is going to be this Amplify Web Scraping. That's the name of that sheet. So you click on it. Okay. So it says no column found. No column found. Don't worry, I'm going to explain that in this case. No column found because there's no column here. Look at it, we don't actually have any column. What we mean by a column is, if you look at sheet 2, all this first name is a column, last name is a column, email is a column. So there's no column it needs to extract there. It needs to add a column before we proceed. And what column are we going to put there? The column we are going to put there is based on the result you want from the extraction. Okay, so the result you want, for example, you see all these ones here, they are also columns: title, price, category, address. If you want the address, you write that there. So I want the title of every data extracted. So what you do is to go back to here and then type title. Okay, title. Okay, that's the first column there. So let me try to increase that. Okay, then when you are done, if you want the price, maybe you want the price of, based on whatever you want. The category name is just the name of that particular stuff you're searching. So you can go back to Google Sheet. It doesn't mean you write category name here, so you can write it as a different name. So maybe I can just write niche, right? It still means category name, then we can go back again. We can say if you want to see the addresses, you can just write address there. That's fine, that's up to you. But I don't think I need it here. I actually want, let me see, I don't want street, city, states. I don't want that. Okay, let's say I want the website. Okay, so what you need to do now is to come back to the Google Sheet or the right website. Yeah. All right, so the next one, I just want to add like few more columns. Okay, let's say I want the phone number. I think that's a very good one there. So then you go back to your Google Sheet and write phone number, anyhow you want to write that. Let's go back again. You know, you can decide to add in as many columns as you want. So based on what you want, that's totally fine. So if there's anything that makes sense that you want again, you can select it. Okay, let me use this total score. The total score is like 4.7. It's like the rating of you know, them on Google, right? This like 4.3 is rating. So I'm going to add that, so at least I think that one can actually do something. So I'm just going to write it as score instead of rating. Then let's see what we can add again. See what we can add. You can add some other things, like I said. Okay, let me add this review count. Review count is how many people actually reviewed the product to get this 4.7, right? Okay, just to show you that actually you can see somebody can be 4.7. It can only be 2 people that voted, right? But this review count is this particular one here, at least, you know, based on how many people rated. If the, you know, if it's okay, that's fine. So I'm just going to add just going to name it as review count itself. Okay, that's cool. Review count. You want to edit, you have to double click inside the text to edit it. Okay, so that, let me just leave this like this for now. I can make it bold. Click on this one here, then you see bold, you can make it bold. You can even add the background color and you can make it big, you know, just to make it look nice at least. Okay, so you can do a couple of different things if you want, but I don't think there's some priority right now. Okay, so what we want to do now, let's actually just add a background. Just click on this one here, then you can click on, oops, you can click on these 3 dots you see here. Okay, these 3 dots after this A here. Okay, or if you're not having it, that's fine. I just want to select this paint bucket too, and that's not necessary. If you can't find it, it's okay. This fill color, so fill color just allows me to give all of that the background. That's, yeah, and just give it like a light one at least. Okay, so what I want to do now is to go back to n8n. Okay, so I've added the column. So what you need to do now, where it says no column found, yeah, just click on retry. Okay, so it's going to refresh and see if it's able to get any columns from our sheet 3. You know, our sheet 3 is Apify. Oh, good. So you can actually see now we have all these columns: title, niche, website, score, review count, and so on, right? If you want to add more, you can go and add more. That's up to you. Okay, so what you just simply need to do is very simple. Okay, what you just simply need to do is this title. With just this title alone, you hold and drag it and drop it inside here. The niche, you know, the niche is category name. You hold and drag it, drop it here. You do that for everything. So this title, hold and drag it inside of the title field instead. Okay, and then the same thing for category. Just hold and drop it into the niche. Then we will do the same thing for websites. Some of them may not have website. That's totally fine. So I'll scroll down, then look for websites. So just hold, if this hold and drag, so I'm just gonna try that again. Looks like it's a little bit lagging on my system, so I'm just gonna hold and drag. Okay, then we have that there. So the next one is like this is actually not making you click, just click out. The next one is phone, so hold and drag the phone. Okay, so then the last one is, okay, we have 2 more: score and then review count. Just going to scroll. Now this thing is actually giving you, you should just click out anywhere. Okay, or you can just basically drag it to disappear away from there itself. Okay, so this total score, I'm going to drag it into the score like so, and then the last one is review count. Okay, so review count, if you scroll down, we actually have it somewhere there. So this is like review count here in this case. So I'm just gonna hold and drag it like so. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom out, and that's it. So what you want to do is to click execute step. Immediately you execute step, is all of the 15 rows will be inside your Google Sheet, the entire 15 rows. So I'll click execute step, and let's actually see it's successful here, by the way. before we move on. Okay, boom. So you can actually see it's only the what we want, that it now gives us the output, right? And that's it. So if we check our Google Sheets now, just wait a couple seconds. Oh, so you can see you simply have all of these rows here. Let me just make it right. And if you want to adjust it, you can simply click here. If you want to just see everything clearly, you can just simply trying to adjust it properly. You can just simply click before this one and A here. Okay, just click. This allows you to highlight all the sheets. Then come in between A or B or any column. Okay, so come in between. Your cursor should actually change to this. Then you double click. Just click twice. It will automatically adjust all the columns for you. Okay, so I'm just gonna click out. So it just adjust them for you. If you want to adjust it, if it's too long, you can come in between maybe A and B, then come here and hold and drag it. If it's too taking a lot of space, just gonna hold and drag it like this at least. Okay, so you can see we will have the result here in this case. Okay, so we have the niches, the websites, and then because not every one of them have a website, right? So that's totally fine. And then we also have the phone. Although the phone is giving us error, don't worry, I'll show us how we can fix it. The review count. Okay, how many people review their products before they actually got this written. Okay, so you can see it's just as easy as this. Okay, so the last thing I just want to quickly show us is how we can fix this phone number, because it's really important. Maybe we can even call them and say, oh, this and that, right? Very important. Okay, so to actually fix this phone number, what you want to do, we can honestly just quickly go to ChatGPT, but just to show you how the phone number looks like. This phone number is showing is because of starting with 2 plus here, and you can start a number with plus in Google Sheets, so that's why it's giving you error. Okay, so this is like the command here, json.phone, right? So I'm just going to copy this, tell ChatGPT to help me format it by removing that plus. So I've copied it, go to ChatGPT, and I can come to ChatGPT here, and I can actually say something like, hey ChatGPT, can actually say, can you please make sure that there is no, then I can say plus sign in this n8n field and put colon. I'm going to paste that thing I copied, that JSON I copied. Just going to paste it, this one. Okay, so I copied it from literally here, right? So cool. And what I want to do is just press enter, and this might just give me, help me write it in a way that it's going to actually, right? So as you can see, this is like it here. So it's kind of like giving me this in this case. So basically it's saying that this phone, it should replace this plus here with an empty string. There should be nothing there, right? I can copy that, okay, and I could go back to my n8n, and in this phone number field, I would delete what is there. Okay, I'm going to paste what ChatGPT gave to me instead. Okay, cool. And yeah, I have it here like this. Okay, so then I'm going to execute step again to see if it updates. Okay, so I still get the 15 items. So if you look at it, there's like no 2, 3, 4. There's no plus, right? Again, if I go back to the Google Sheets, let's see if it's actually updates. Oh, so you can see it actually worked. Okay, it's like duplicating it, because so what we're supposed to do was actually just let me just highlight and delete everything. If it's stressful for you, can just leave it and delete the ones. I'll delete everything and execute that again. So it's like giving me the same rules twice. Okay, so you can see I have it in this case right now. Okay, so this is like the entire 15 rows, right? And these are their phone number. I think majority of them have phone number, which makes sense. That's cool. If you still have error in some places, it means those ones does not have phone number. Okay, don't bother about that, as long as you see phone number. All right, cool. So this is like literally everything about web scraping. Okay, I just want to show you a couple things. Now, if you are trying to web scrape over 1000 rows at once, web scraping 1000 rows in like 3 seconds, right? Google, this Google Sheet might actually break. Okay, so there's a way we can actually just let it input in the data, maybe every 2 seconds or every 5 seconds. One row will be appearing red. So it won't look like we are trying to overload this Google Sheet. So if I go back to my n8n and click out, I don't want this data to always repeat itself, because by the time it always repeats itself and go back to, it's going to always, duplicate these rows here. So before that, you have to click out. I just want to log this. I want to log this result here. I don't want it to run this result every time. So just make sure you click out. Then we are going to go back to the Amplify node. Okay, so what you want to do is to just, this is where the result is, right? So I don't want it, if I execute workflow, this schedule, this comes like this. This has to go to Google Sheet again to extract this information. But the one it has already, I want to just, pin it. I don't want it to always go to Google Sheet. Well, I want to pin down the information inside here down. So double click on this Amplify node. Now to lock the to pin the data, and in the output aspect, we are familiar with this, we can just pin it so that we can use this data instead. So I'm just going to pin it. Okay, so it's pinned now. I don't need to, it doesn't need to always go to Google Sheets to Google rather to get the result. So the last few things I want to do now is, let's say you're extracting a lot of data over 1000 rows. It's okay like this though, but to make it more safer so that your Google Sheet doesn't crash, or maybe they even suspect you and they block it. And this is because of cybersecurity reasons, so that some people can actually do some weird stuff here, right? So what we want to do is to actually use what we call loop and wait. Okay, loop just simply means, you know what loop is? Loop is just like running in an infinite circle, right? There's no stop, right? That's what loop is. Okay, just keep on running in an infinite circle. Okay, not circle though, but it's like doing the same thing repeatedly every single time, right? There's no stop. So what I want to do is I want it to always, actually get the data from here and append it in the row. Do the same thing and append it in the row. But the other one called wait. Wait just simply means I don't want it to just do everything at once. It put everything at once in Google Sheets. The wait means I can give it like 5 seconds before it actually gets the next, updates the next row in Google Sheets, right? So that it looks normal and not so fast. So what you need to do now is, let's connect a node called loop. So I'll click on the plus and then search for loop. Okay, so there's actually what we call loop. Okay, so which simply means I want to split the data into batches. I don't just want to dump everything in Google Sheets. Okay, so I'll click on this in this case. So when you get to see this, you don't need to adjust anything or do anything, just click out. Okay, now when you see this loop, you will actually see this replace me. We don't need this replace me for now. Just move your mouse on it and delete. Don't need the replace me. Okay, and then zooming in here, you would actually see we also have this one here. So what we want to do is, we don't need this one here for now, just delete it as well. Okay, we just want this down and loop here. And the next thing you're going to connect is this wait. Okay, but before we connect the wait, and what we want to do now is, we simply want to loop. What we want to do is, we want this to always come here gradually, right? So what you need to do now is, we need to connect wait. Okay, that is, we'll give it a specific amount of seconds to always come here, to always update the row every time. What you do is to click on this loop in this case. Okay, so this loop should be before this here in this case, so that was a mistake here. Anyways, you can just detach it, just move your mouse and click on delete to let it be on its own. It's supposed to be in between, right? Okay, so just hold and drag this to the right. Okay, that's fine. Now we want to actually, you need to detach this too. So just detach it. Okay, then bring this loop beside it here. Okay, then you connect the loop to it. Yes. Okay, then this Google Sheet would, this loop, this other loop here will be connected to this Google Sheet here in this case. Okay, so the loop is like the middleman that, you know, allows it to actually go the same way every single time. Okay, so what you want to do now is to connect with. Okay, so we are going to click on this plus sign again and then search for weights. Now you don't have to do this, it's fine. It's just an option. So you see this weights. Okay, so just click on weights. So it's going to wait before it continues. So you can set how many seconds you want. By default is 5 seconds, so that's okay. If you want to reduce it, that's fine. Just click out. Okay, so the weight is now also connected. So what we want to do now is this weight, we want to actually connect it to this loop. So the loop won't loop everything at once. It has to wait for some seconds before it loops again. So what you do is on this loop here, this part here, this little circle here is what you drag, just hold, and then you are going to connect it to this loop here. Okay, so connect it to this loop here. Okay, good. So when you connect it to the loop, and that's all. So every time it's going to run this workflow. Okay, before this actually insert it inside here. Okay, it's going to look at this loop, and this loop means that it has to run every 5 seconds. So since it has to run every 5 seconds, the first row is going to be, you know, there. Then before it jumps the next row, it has to wait for 5 seconds again. Then, you know, append it, right? So to actually see this working, let's go back here. Let's actually try to delete everything here. You see it doesn't dump everything at once now, so I'll delete. Okay, so let's go back to our n8n here, and let me just I'm going to execute workflow now, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it has to wait. It will insert the first item. Okay, so let's just going back here, so and see it's actually doing that gradually. So 5 seconds. So can you see it appearing it every 5 seconds? So that's how it's simply going to do. So you can see the fourth one has the fourth row is here already. Then the next row comes in again, and like that. So this actually makes sense if you're web scraping, you know, thousands of rows, so that the Google Sheet does not, you know, close instantly. That would be a pain in the ass, right? All right, cool. So this is just all about this in this case. So this is like on the fourth one now. It has looped 4 items total, and it has to, you know, get the idea, right? Cool. So this is going to continue running. Okay, so if I search for usage limits Google Sheets, you will see there's a usage limit, which technically I'm still saying that you don't just rush to put up everything. Okay, so this is like it here, right? So you can just read through it anyways. Okay, so that's all about web scraping in n8n. And what you want to do now is to actually save your work in this case. Now if you want to connect to Google Sheet, let's say you want to see the results in your Google Sheet, you can even try this on your own. I don't want to make this video super long, and it's very easy to try on your own. Okay, all you just need to do is, you can see where it says done here. You can just click on it, done. Okay, when you search for Google Sheet, then you want to, you know, let it send a message. You connect this done to the Google Sheet, put in your email, you know, just try it out if you want to. Okay, to send the result. You know, we've tried this before, so that's it. I'm just going to click to arrange everything. Okay, so and then when you are done, if you want to publish it, to start making it work realistically, you can publish it. You just make sure you Control S to save your work, right? And you can import this and keep your workflow if you want by, you know, I've showed us a couple of that multiple times. Okay, you can download your workflow if you want, right? So that's all about web scraping in n8n. And be sure that you actually name your workflow in case you probably have not. I'm just going to say, rename it as n8n web scraping. Okay, okay, so just that's it. All right, so that's about that. Thank you. Bye bye.